Clemson football is back.
No.
That is what the headline will
Slow
read
down.
at the end of next season when the Clemson Tigers are hosting the 2025/2026 National Championship Trophy.
Yeah.
We are doing a series right now where we cover our outlooks for the 2025 season for individual college football teams. We already talked about the Texas Longhorns. Now we're going to dive into my Clemson Tigers. We're going to go through a bunch of teams. Let us know in the comments if there's any teams that you want to see. This episode is going to be about Clemson. So I want everyone to kind of go around. I'll start. Tell us what you think about this team, how they look for 2025, and then we'll go game by game through the schedule and compare what we think their win total will be to what Vegas has that you could bet right now. So starting, this has the potential to be one of the best Clemson teams in the history of the program.
That's absurd.
No, it's not though. This is akin to the talent we had on the teams where we won national championships, and it's even more talented actually if you look at it from like a high school recruiting and the type of talent that you have on the offense and defense than the Deshaun Watson team was that won in 2016. And a little less talented than the teams that Trevor Lawrence took to the team that Trevor Lawrence won with, around the same talent that they went to the national championship against LSU with. We are returning the number one percentage of production in college football. 80% of total production from last season is returning for this year. Historically, that lines up really well with winning. We're returning 85% of our offensive production and 76% of defensive production. That's one in the country for offense, 6 in the country for defense, for a net 1 overall. Last season, this team was extremely young. We had almost no seniors leave. It's one of the reasons we didn't take a whole lot of freshmen in our incoming recruiting class. It's because there were not many roster spots to fill. I mean, pretty much everyone on this team is coming back for a next season, whether that was freshmen and sophomores starting that are now going to be a next year in there, or juniors that decided to stay one more year and go for their, potential first good season in their entire time being at Clemson. Todd McShay right now, no, it's way too early mock drafts, and we've talked about this before, but I think it is significant. He has 6 Clemson Tigers projected to go in his first round for the 2026 NFL mock draft. Who knows if that comes true, but he has Peter Woods, defensive line at 3 overall, Cabe Klubnik, quarterback at 5 overall, Blake Miller, offensive tackle, 8 overall, TJ Parker, edge rusher, 9 overall, Avion Terrell, younger brother of AJ Terrell, at 27 overall, and then Antonio Williams, wide receiver, at 28 overall. Cade is currently tied in second for preseason Heisman odds with Garrett Nussmeier at plus 900, only behind Arch Manning, who we already talked about with Texas. Last year, Cade was a top 10 passer in college football, totaling 3,650 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and he added 463 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. That's a total of last season for 4,100 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 6 turnovers. Really excellent season from a statistical standpoint, especially after a Georgia game in which he put up basically 0 stats to start last year. So that was in kind of like a 1 game less from a statistical output standpoint. And, they didn't play throughout the postseason, which definitely, obviously we lost in the first game, but he could have even racked up more yards like a lot of these other quarterbacks did if they played further. This wide receiver room is one of the reasons where I think this Clemson team can really be electric. It's back to the days where we actually have NFL talent, not just at wide receiver 1, which is Antonio Williams, who I think is a late first round, early second round NFL guy for next season. But our 2 returning 5-star sophomores, TJ Moore and Bryant Westco, returning after very productive freshman years, especially when they both were getting looks throughout the season. Tyler Brown, someone everyone forgot about, was the best receiver on our team 2 years ago as a true freshman, was out all season last year with an injury. All these other guys took his place. He's our wide receiver 4 going into next year. Already has a season where he has 1,000+ receiving yards under his belt coming into a wide receiver 4 spot. And then one of the 3 transfers we picked up is a 6'5" transfer receiver in Tristan Smith, who will be the wide receiver 5. So this team has crazy depth and like actual NFL guys all up and down the wide receiver room. Offensive line's pretty much returning everybody and has one of the best left tackles in the country from a draft projection standpoint. They obviously need to do a lot better than they did last year.
A lot.
Because last year that was a huge weak spot for our team, was running the ball. You could say it was running back injuries, et cetera. I'm about to hit on the running back room in a second. But projections is one thing, actual stats is another thing. So I'm still kind of questionable on the offensive line, but I do understand how college works, to where if you have an entire unit coming back a season after starting together, you can project pretty significant steps forward. They've all been playing together with the same quarterback, same offensive coordinator, and like same teammates on all the positions. They're just running it back. So I'm hoping to take a big step forward there. And I mean, the draft projections say they probably will as well, but we'll see on the O-line. The running back room is the one question mark on this offense that no one really knows what's going to happen. We're projected to be starting a true freshman running back in Gideon Davidson, which is tough. He was, however, one of the highest ranked running back recruits in the class. He was the 4th overall running back in 2025. We've been able to recruit running back really, really well, pretty much throughout Dabo's entire tenure, starting with CJ Spiller and going forward. And we have a few 4-star backups. Our main guy, Haynes, that tore his ACL last year, probably is not going to play the entire season. So who knows with this running back room, but I have hope that if the offensive line takes a step forward, they can kind of plug and play and have a mix. You don't need a 1-star running back for this offense to work well. I think the defense will be much improved from last year, mostly because of defensive coordinator. And Wes Goodwin was a literal cancer to this team. He was one of the reasons that people were calling for major coaching changes at Clemson because they recruited him from within after they lost Brent Venables, me included. And everyone was like, pull from outside the program or go somewhere else because you need to fix this problem. And he did, getting Tom Allen, who crushed that defense at Indiana as a head coach and then went to Penn State, coached one of the best defenses last year, had the best defensive prospect in the draft in Abdul Carter. And then we have 2 top 10 projected picks on the defensive line that are very Abdul Carter-esque, especially TJ Parker at edge rusher. He's projected 1 or 2 edge rusher in the class for next year. I think Tom Allen can do wonders for him. And then we have Sammy Brown coming back, 5-star middle linebacker, and Avion Terrell at corner. So I think we have a lot of talent, and we can get it done. This is the first season I can actually, like in the past, I've been hopeful, but it wasn't really grounded in much. This is the first year I can actually look at what we did last year, what we're bringing back, and what the coaching changes have been, and look at the schedule and be like, all right, I actually see a path to us really doing something here. Oh, and then side note, last thing, keep an eye out for 5-star defensive lineman Amari Adams, who was one of the biggest recruits we got last year. I think he can be one of those guys like Peter Woods that turns into a future star.
Gosh, I mean, it's so much to digest.
There's a lot.
Clemson propaganda there.
Yes. I don't know how much is propaganda.
Biggest storyline for me, I'm not really worried about Cade. I have my jokes where I don't think he's as good as people think. I mean, this whole Heisman talk and everything, I see a little regression. But, I mean, he'll get it done. They're going to score points. The wide receivers are top 5 in the country as a unit for sure. I'm worried about the offensive line. I know you're saying they will probably progress. They have one of the worst running games I've ever seen a top school have in my life. And to win championships, I really think you need a balance somehow in games that maybe it's not working one way or the other.
Yeah.
Assuming they will fix that, injuries hurt. Obviously, having more time is better. And then my biggest thing is the defense. I know you're talking about individual players. I understand you have top talent all over the place. I think this is one of the worst team defensive Clemson's had in almost a decade.
That was
team
Goodman.
Playing together.
That was Wes
But
Goodman.
sure, you can call it, and you still have to learn a whole new system and adapt to that for the first year. I just think the rushing defense was terrible in my opinion.
Awful.
Your DBs weren't bad. You had some pressure, but I just don't see teams not being able to score points. And yes, you guys can maybe just hang with every team like you tried to do with Texas. Go point for point. But this defense, having a defense have to take a step up. I mean, there's so much to learn, so many things you have to connect with. And I just think it's going to be really hard. Yes, they have an easy schedule. I know we're going to talk about that. In my opinion, I think the ACC regressed from last year. So I think they have and they got a little better. So it's a little discrepancy. But going into championship talk, I think everyone needs to bite their tongue a little bit, personally for me, talking about this Clemson team.
All right. Mike?
Yeah, I think championship talk needs to be set aside for one reason and one reason only, and that is just the situation that Clemson is in. I know we're going to be so.
Let him
hear
explain.
me out. So I know we're going to go into a schedule, but they start with a tough LSU team, and I think the way that their season is going to play out is going to be probably a similar story to last year, where it's if you lose your week 1, you kind of have to run the gauntlet in your conference. And then if you do lose a game or two, then a game or two more, then you're kind of in a weird situation where you need Syracuse to beat Miami. And then that's the only way you can kind of get into that ACC championship spot. And I think, just because of for that reason, I think Clemson is going to be, kind of brought down a tier, especially if they can't make it to their championship. They lose week 1. If they lose to South Carolina or whatever.
Good news is
I just think it's going to hurt.
South Carolina and LSU aren't in the conference.
Well, I agree. But again, I think it's, going to go into one of those things where it's
We do play
how high,
SMU,
how high do they
SMU.
rank a
Belichick
team?
ass.
I was gonna say we do
and
play a
North
lot of
Carolina.
those.
North Carolina,
We do
Louisville.
play all those teams this year, which is nice. That was the problem last year is we didn't play SMU or Miami.
So you had no chance
in the
but
schedule,
you had a chance.
but that's kind of fixed for this year unless there are two teams that we don't play that magically become better. I think that was more of an anomaly. I think we can kind of win ourselves in or lose ourselves out. But
That's fair.
All right, you say step down. Ryan says hit the brakes. I'm assuming Mario might be on the same wavelength there.
I don't know. I feel like I'm definitely a little bit more optimistic for this Clemson team than Ryan and Michael, but definitely nowhere near where your head's at. I'm not saying that you guys can't win a national championship. I'm just saying I'd be very, very surprised. For the simple fact that I don't think outside of your receivers, which I think might be top 3 in the nation, and the way it plays out, they could become. I mean,
Two.
you won't have the best individual receiver, but like as a unit, they might be number one.
That's my theory, but it's hard to say above Ohio State with Cardell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. But I'm on that train.
I
where
think
if you go 3 deep and all 4, I would
think
say best.
I think
but,
Wesco. I know you said Antonio Williams is your number 1, and he might be number 1. I think Wesco by the end of the year will be your wide
I
receiver
think
1.
TJ Moore.
I think Wesco is unbelievable. I know he's a freshman last year, but just the flashes I saw, I think he has really big potential. The thing about this Clemson team, first off, their offense. I mean, you kind of touched on it with the question marks with the O-line and the running backs. To me, that's just a huge, huge question mark because that puts so much more pressure on Cade. And what I saw from Cade last year, unless there's just a drastic change this year, that's not really optimal for him. I think he's good. I don't think he's that elite that's like going to be NFL starter like after this year. I just don't see it out of him. I think he's good. I think he's talented. He leans, in my opinion, more game manager than like elite quarterback. I know he had crazy stats, but a lot of those games you guys were playing no one and he was throwing for 500 yards.
ACC defenses.
You know what I mean? Like, and
Slight pushback there. He didn't play a lot of fourth quarters. If you look at the stats, he put up numbers
you guys
every
would blow
game.
him out, yeah.
I was gonna say but every game besides Georgia, he put up pretty good stats in.
no, his stats were unbelievable.
Like if you look against Texas
I'm not
or
saying his
SMU
stats.
or like
I'm not
the
saying
close games, he put up big numbers.
I'm not saying his stats weren't good, and I know you guys beat SMU. That was a big game for you, but like, I don't know, like against like these elite teams, and I'm not even gonna say like LSU is because we'll talk about them.
Well,
in
a lot of
future
work to
episode,
do.
Questions about them, especially the coach, but I just think like he looks very, very average against like elite teams, and then he's very, very above average against any team that's not, an elite team. He's definitely good enough to like go out there and kind of run the table against those guys, but any team that has an elite defense, he just doesn't seem, in my opinion, the person who's going to be like dot up a defense, accurate. I don't know. I have question marks with him. And then obviously the defense. I actually think you guys will have a really good offensive line.
You mean defensive line?
I mean defensive line. I think your DBs and secondary to me is just where there's going to be a little bit of little bit of trouble there. I know every year it's like you get hyped over like, oh, well, we got this new corner, and then like by the second quarter you're screaming at the TV.
That's just that's the one reason, and you're totally right. The last 3-4 seasons, and especially since we started DJ Hours, every year it's been hyped over a new corner. Mm-hmm. That is the reason I'm very pumped on Clemson this year, is because there's no new players. Like there's a new running back, and there's like a guy that was a bench player last year that's going to be one of our alt linebackers, and then one of the D lines. But like
There's no new players on defense, is what you're saying?
There's I think 3 new starters on defense, and then running back and tight end on offense. But it's like we're returning 80% of production, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. I think one of the biggest things is last year there were obvious a million holes. I think we have the talent to do it. And I think the same thing with Cade, though. Like early in last season, I think he looked terrible. And then at the end of last season, you can even take the second half of the Texas game, for an example. Like the last half of football he played, I saw the standing in there and just dotting up a defense.
And that third quarter was
I mean,
insane.
it's a Texas secondary.
Well, but I mean, you gotta, if you're saying, like
I didn't
playoff
think
team
Texas was
SMU.
elite.
Well, I was gonna say playoff team SMU, obviously not a good defense. Then you could say playoff team Texas maybe doesn't have a great defense, but if you do that, you're getting down to like just Ohio State as an elite team. So you're like,
I'd say Georgia.
okay, so like 2 teams. But I'm just saying, like in
I'm
general,
sure there's more, but yeah.
I think it's just a lot about moving forward, like you said, with the offense. I think it's the existing players have to get better. But let's go through the schedule. Mario, I want to start with you on game 1. Of course. Because we're going to be there.
Yes.
Week 1, Saturday, August 30th, same day, Texas plays Ohio State. We get a night game at Memorial Stadium in Death Valley where LSU is coming in to play Clemson. I have this one as a big win. Big win for Clemson.
Of course.
What do you think, Mario?
Weird feeling, and this is like, it's gonna seem biased because I'm an LSU fan, but I've like tried to look at this really objectively, and like last year against USC and years prior with Florida State, like I'd be very open. Maybe like the first year when we had Brian Kelly, I was like, oh, we're gonna beat Florida State, but then like every year after that, I've been like, dude, we probably should win, but we're gonna lose because we have Brian Kelly. I don't know. I just feel different about this year. I feel like, law of averages, you just can't lose forever. Like eventually you get a win. I think Clemson is a team that's, beatable for us. It's going to be really, really tough. They're going to be obviously a good team. I think this is a good test for us. This will be the first game, though, first opening game under the Brian Kelly era that I will be live in attendance. I feel like that makes a difference.
That's got to spice something up.
Do I cancel Mario's ticket? Let me know in the comments.
Because I'm not even worried about this game. Like, we lose every first game anyways, so I'm just like, okay, we probably lose, but I'm just going in there calm and collected. I don't know. I feel like there's not as much pressure to win. I felt like the Florida State games, we had to win. I felt like last year at USC, or I don't even know if it was at SC, it was a neutral site or whatever, but I felt like we had to win that game because, like, we were propped up as the better team in each matchup. We're not really in that position this game. It's just like, go out there and play.
Road.
And we're on the road. So, like, I don't know. I feel like we're a little bit more free this year. I know it's a tough game, but I feel like it's just a good spot for us.
Win total, by the way, for the season is 9.5 minus 170, almost identical to what we saw with the Texas line.
Yeah.
Ryan and Mike, what do you guys think about this one?
Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, I feel like LSU is only a more formidable opponent this year than previous years that we've been talking about them because they got a new offensive coordinator. This guy's a stud. I also think that, Brian Kelly clearly couldn't, get control of that offense like he should have. So I'm hoping just this new addition to your coaching staff will round it out a little bit. And then also just, it's a tough team in general. I think it's closer to a much even slate, if not slightly leaning towards LSU. But yeah. It'll be good to see.
I think this is the greatest matchup in the history of starting games.
Yeah.
It's
such a good
it's poetic.
matchup.
It's the two teams that lose every week one. It's
Every
the two
week
teams that are like identical. They have Heisman quarterbacks, insane offenses, defense are question marks all over the board, but we'll have draft players all over. Like, who's your Perkins?
Yeah.
Like, drafted, he's going to be in the top if he does well. Like, it's a perfect game. I think it's just two identical teams. I just picking the quarterback who I think will play better. In my opinion, I think Nussie. In this game.
0 for 3.
But I do think this is like a complete coin toss. Like either way, I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think it'll be like either team wins by 3, but like a fun, like a 31-28 game. No like bullshit 10-3.
Yeah.
Like you guys normally do in week 1 with your offenses being barred out. But I think this will be a fun game.
The one thing that Mario noted that I just want to say, you said you weren't at any of the week 1 games that you lost. Well, I haven't been at any of the week 1 games that we lost either.
Oh, that's
and when I went to Clemson, we lost 0 home games and 0 home night games. So
would you triple that since you left?
Oh yeah, infinite. It was a 0 multiplier or a 0 division. But yeah, I do think with the hype around this team, the environment at night in Death Valley is going to be something we haven't seen in a while. Forget about how the team looks. You can have your thoughts on that. But this stadium is going to be one of the loudest we've had since like the Trevor Lawrence days. DJU absolutely killed the vibes there. And I think at least with the hype around it, this game's going to be crazy. So I have it as a win. They have it as a loss. Then we go home against Troy.
It's 50-50.
Easy dub.
Flip
Troy.
a coin.
Yeah.
For
Easy
Troy?
dub for Troy?
No,
Easy dub for Troy.
Easy dub for Clemson.
We're not losing to Troy. At Georgia Tech, I think low key is
Tough game.
the hardest game on our schedule outside of the LSU and South Carolina. Georgia Tech, I'm extremely high on
you're
this year.
super high.
I'm way high
I feel
on
like
Georgia
it's
Tech.
an easy win.
Because Harold or King
Haynes King
Haynes
and then
King.
Jamal Haynes at running back, I think is one of the nasty. I think it's probably the best quarterback running back returning duo in all of college football for next season. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better one.
Garrett and anyone, Cade and anyone.
No, but I'm saying like 1-2.
I know you put any running back with a broken leg in Cade and Garrett. That's your
No. I'm saying like individual players. So obviously you can pair, the best quarterback with like.
I mean,
a
even
whoever
Arch
running
and
back.
probably
Oh,
Weisner.
no.
Me.
No.
Yeah.
Arch and Trey, baby.
But yeah, I think we win against Georgia Tech. We don't lose to Georgia Tech. Those are always just close games.
It'd be fun to see this LSU game because if you lose to LSU, this number's going to be at like 2, and it's going to be the greatest game of all time. But I don't see you losing both. So if I'm going to say I think you lose to LSU, I think you win this.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, I say easy
All right.
win.
Home against Syracuse.
Easy win.
It's gonna be a win.
It's a win because it's home.
Yeah. At North Carolina.
Could be
I mean,
a fun one.
Tough.
this is. I don't
think so?
I don't
It should
know.
be a blowout.
It should this should be a 30-point game, but you can't just like assume Bill Belichick's team is going to be a pushover, right? But at the same time, it's North Carolina, and you look at what they add in the transfer portal. It's not bad. They'll be better than last year, but they did not add like superstars.
No.
This wasn't like there was a college football flocking to go get coached under Bill Belichick. So I think this is an easy win.
Yeah, easy win.
Also, at Boston College, that's going to be a win.
I love the
Easy
spot
go.
for Boston College just throwing out there. I think the North Carolina Clemson game is going to be North Carolina's biggest hype game ever in the history of the world. They're going to have donors, everyone to see if Bill Belichick can do it. Then next week you have to stumble into like the upset team, Boston College.
Yeah.
Win 6 games a year, but always upset.
I kind of
them.
like that. I think you guys win, but like
It'll be sweaty. It'll be a fun game,
Yeah, it'll
in
be
my
like a
opinion.
fun sweat. They'd be
Yeah.
like, we should.
No, I think this
And a look ahead for SMU.
This
Oh, I
schedule's-
mean, I
yeah,
love
it's
it,
a
right?
perfect
Oh
look
my
ahead.
god.
It's sneaky hard this year, actually, if you look at the schedule with who we have to play when we have to play them.
Yeah.
I think home against SMU will likely be a top 15 matchup. I know we're not doing an SMU deep dive, but you look at their schedule. I think
might.
SMU's returning a lot, including Kevin Jennings. I think we take care of SMU. I think we're better than them. It's also a home game. Like, we really don't
It's
lose
on
home
October
games.
18th though, so
Why? What's
that's
that?
Breast Cancer Awareness Day.
Oh, that's good.
tough.
That's good
It's
for
good
us.
for Kevin Jennings.
That's good for us.
Really
Yeah.
good for Kevin Jennings.
Yeah,
We support
Does-
breast cancer.
He has
you support
breast cancer.
Yeah, we do.
Like you want more of
No. We like
Breast cancer
raise
awareness.
a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
But I think that's a win. I don't know. Anyone think we're losing that one?
No. No.
I think you win, but that's a potential loss spot. Just because
For sure.
I mean, I really do like Kevin Jennings, and I think that this SMU team will be a good team this year. Obviously, some people think that they kind of reached their peak last
So
year.
tough because if your defense is just as what it is last year, which are you have the same 77% of the same players, SMU could just score 40 and beat you.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'll give them a win. I like Clemson at home.
Yeah, I'm
hopefully
giving
your
you a
home
win.
status is
I'm
better.
giving
Home
you-
against
Clemson at home, and they've already beaten them.
yeah,
Well,
and then we go home
not
against
really,
Duke.
Michael's boys going to tear you
No,
apart.
he's gone. I
Oh, he
think.
left?
Yeah.
Oh,
gone.
damn it. No, I don't give a
Yeah.
shit anymore.
Yeah, I think he only
No,
played
Duke
one
has
year.
literally nobody.
you killed
Duke's
Lame. All right,
Duke's
whatever,
blood.
Duke, yeah.
Luke
Home against
Murphy.
FSU.
Tyler's all over FSU this year. I don't know. This is a weird
No,
one.
my
Go
take.
Noles.
My take is pretty much just I don't know what they're gonna look like, but they're gonna be better than they were last year
I mean,
because
anything's better than
Yeah, that's
well,
two
when
wins.
DJ goes to a school, that school dies, and so FSU had 2 wins. When they had DJ, they're gonna be better than 2-win team, but we're gonna win that game. And then an
Tough stretch.
absolute brutal game at Louisville. This is the ACC game we lost last year. This is gonna be, if not the hardest, the second hardest ACC game we play. I think it's a win. I wouldn't be surprised if someone said it's a loss though.
100% a loss. Louisville has your numbers. It's one of those teams. Nothing you can do about it. Like as of late in Louisville, they're going to be like an 8-win team, on the fringe. And
7-win team.
they win 21-17 because Dabo starts slow. End of the year where he's kind of just not having his flow. But you still make the ACC championship, but you just lose this game.
Okay.
I just go 50-50. I think it's going to be an extremely tough game. Having already lost to them last year, it's just one of those teams that's tough. Also, it's away.
I think
I
we
mean-
win by 90 points this game. This
So
is our,
that's what you said last time against Louisville.
No,
Well,
this is our
that's true.
bounce back game.
I have
we didn't lose
I have
to them
Clemson losing either like SMU or Louisville. So if we're saying they beat SMU, then I'll just put a loss for this.
All right. Home against Furman. It's
Easy
not even a
dog.
real game. And then at South Carolina. This
mean,
is going to be
It's not even
I
all
would give that a
consensus.
loss.
South Carolina
Yeah.
win, right?
Yeah.
no shot.
Loss.
We lose this game. Literally 0%. I cannot wait to see
I
the
agree.
number. I'm going to bet as much money. This is going to be my mortal lock. We lost to South Carolina last year in a
Wait.
game where we should not.
But you can't moral lock your own team.
I don't care.
Okay.
It doesn't matter to me. No, this is free money. If anyone wants to say South Carolina's gonna win, fine, go ahead and bet it. I'll just take the action instead of you betting against any book. We can save the juice. I'll take all the action anyone wants on whatever the spread of the South Carolina game is when we play because
I mean, I
we do
think
not
you guys
lose
win.
back to backs. especially not like after we lost at home last year. This is going on the road. This is Cade's last season. This is our final. This is this group's last chance to play South Carolina. I don't care how good or bad we are this year. If we're great, we're going to crush them. If we're bad, we're still going to act. We're going to pretend to be the best team. This is a blowout win, in my opinion. This is the only game I'm like actually confident on.
I don't know if it's like a blowout win, but I feel like everyone's crazy high on South Carolina and Lenore Sellers, and yeah, he's good, but
He's a beast.
dude, I don't see like everyone saying like, oh, he's gonna win Heisman. I just don't see any of that out of the South Carolina team. They're good, they're gritty. I mean, I like their edge rusher, Dylan Stewart, but that's about it. Like this team isn't that deep. You guys kill them.
I just think South Carolina will be exactly what they were last year. Mid to start the year, get really hot, and have a big win at the end of the year and barely miss the playoffs, and this will be their big win.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of losses in there.
I just
Get
think
behind,
it's
there
gonna
will be a lot of losses. Like,
similarly to what Ryan said, I think they're going to be very close to the same as last year. And if that's the case, they, in my opinion, should be LSU. LSU should beat Clemson this year. So, by algorithmic logic,
Should be
algorithm
is not what Vegas says, but
South Carolina.
should be.
To this year.
No,
Yes.
it's
All right,
algorithm.
well, the win total is 9.5, so I have a feeling I know where all three of you are going on that. You're going over. I thought you had more than 2 or 3 losses.
No,
I just had LSU, and then I said you guys
Okay.
either lose to
So you're
SMU or
over.
Louisville. So I think you guys go 10.
You have to be way under. You have like 4 losses.
not
in
way
there.
under because I think one of them you'll get through because I gave you SMU. But yeah, I'm gonna go under. I just think 3 is such a sharp spot. I mean, I just think you guys you're
3
just
is
not
really
as dominant. Like especially week 1. Week 1, if you lose, I am over the moon on 3 losses. Just little holes here and there, and you have a tough schedule to end the year.
Yeah, it's
so I
actually
just think
harder
it's like
than I thought.
the
No,
last
it's
like 5-6
very-
games are
it's like the
difficult.
hardest ACC schedule.
So if you lose the first one,
That's
I
why
mean-
we'll play any of the teams we could go against. Mike, I'm
Real
assuming
tough.
you're going under.
Yeah, I have 3 losses.
Yeah.
It's very close, but
This
3
is
losses.
the easiest over bet you'll ever make in your life.
Well, you have them undefeated.
I do. 12-0.
This
But-
really shows where everyone is on Clemson.
But it's
like
also-
under. Oh, I think you guys get like 10 wins, and Tyler's like, oh, undefeated.
I'm just saying I'm obviously biased, but historically speaking, if there's ever a buy low spot on a team, this has all the makings of what you'd want to buy low on. Returning everything, new defensive coordinator.
it's gonna take a while to get that money back after the last 3 years.
Oh, I wasn't hammering the last 3 years like I'm about to this year. This is about to be
if the past couple years weren't hammering,
yeah, and this must be an explosion.
wait and see. buddy. Wait and see.
you're drawing the line in the sand.
Yeah,
This is all
12-0.
like max bet.
No, I think
Dabo's gone. If anything, but no ACC championship, no playoffs.
Dabo did everything he needed to that he hadn't been doing, using the transfer portal to pick up huge additions and going and getting a defensive coordinator from outside the program. I think 12-0, 11-1 floor, easy over. I think clear ACC champions,
Jesus.
and I think this should be national title favorites.
So no matter what, after week 1, you'll be undefeated. run the table.
For sure.
Okay, because either you lose and
Well,
you
no,
win
we're gonna
one,
no.
or you
If we
and
win
you
week
close.
1, we could lose like one of the random games.
okay.
We're not losing South Carolina though. The 0%
That's all
chance.
I'm actually-
Only
0%.
game I think we're beating South Carolina higher percent than beating Furman, 100%. But let us know. Let us know what you think in
You
the
heard it here
comments.
first.
What do you think about Clemson for next year? What are the teams you want to see us do a deep dive on? And yeah, go Tigers. We'll see you on the next one.